Yeah, and obviously, like a big part of that conversation, as we talked about, is the Dodgers, and it seems like they're built to last as of this point. But can you see like a spot where their dominance ends up kind of slowing down a little bit? I don't want to say coming to an end, but I think slowing down. Or do you just think they're kind of like invincible at this point?
It's hard for me to see that they'll have a down period.
Yeah.
But I do think they could get in a situation where the age starts to show on this team a little bit. They were the oldest team in baseball last year and won the World Series. So age by itself is not a terrible thing. But, if you're talking about Freeman and Betts, especially, what's behind them, their farm system has been so good, though. And I think that's part of their success, too, that they're able to sustain the talent level. And sometimes it means, using those trading chips to go get somebody else. So it's hard for me based on the structure they have in place, the consistency they have. I mean, that's the biggest difference between the Dodgers and Mets. It's just stability, right? The Dodgers just hire good people, trust them, keep them there for a long time. And the Mets are always searching for the formula that works. So I think it's hard for me to see they'll have any kind of a down period. But, I used to say that about the Yankees, and then there was a couple of years there where they didn't make the playoffs. And not making the playoffs when, 6 teams are going in each league, you don't think that's possible for a team like the Yankees or the Dodgers. So I don't see it happening anytime soon, I'll tell you that. But it's hard to sustain, well, let's see if they can get the 3rd in a row, but it's pretty amazing just to have these 2 in a row.
Yeah, and also, too, there's a follow-up that I wanted to ask you. Is initially you said you spent a lot of time with Andrew Friedman, and he is, at this point, he's destined for the Hall of Fame. Like, what do you think it is that just makes him such an elite executive? And, what do you think makes him separate from the others in baseball?
It's a great question because I think he has such a diverse skill set where obviously coming from Tampa Bay, he was schooled early in analytics. But he actually sees the game a lot like a scout. He really does. And he does a great job to me. He's a great connector of people. And a lot of teams run into trouble when there's separate silos between, say, player development and analytics. That's not the case with the Dodgers at all. And to me, we talk about glue guys on a team in a dugout. He's like a glue guy in the organization who makes everybody feel important. He asks questions. It reminds me of Pat Gillick a lot. Pat Gillick was a great architect, if you will, not just a baseball guy. And he would not be afraid to ask anybody a question. Like in the media, he would ask you, pick your brain about what team you were covering. And I think Andrew's that kind of curious guy. It doesn't mean he's going to always take it to heart, whatever you tell him. But I think he knows what he doesn't know, always curious to learn more. So, yeah, I think he's, if not the best, he's one of the best out there because I think he connects every aspect of the organization.
Now, the Dodgers are probably at this point the clear-cut favorite to three-peat. And, I'm not going to tell you to steer away from that. But let's just say you can't pick the Dodgers to win the World Series this year. You've got 2.5 weeks of data plus your preseason thoughts and projections. Who are you taking from the field if you have to potentially unseat the Dodgers?
Well, I got to tell you, baseball is such a crazy game. I would take the field over the Dodgers. I still would say that. Now, that being said, they're clearly the best team in baseball, and they're showing that early on. I came into this season thinking the Philadelphia Phillies were the team that could knock them off. I thought they played them very tough in the postseason last year. Zach Wheeler has 2 more minor league starts. He's coming back. I know the velocity is not where he wants it to be, but all systems have been go in terms of the shape of his pitches. And they can go toe-to-toe with the pitching staff of the Dodgers in a postseason environment. I'm a little bit concerned, though, because the early signs on this Philadelphia team are not good. Adolis Garcia doesn't look much better than he did in Texas. I thought Kevin Long, and maybe in time, will turn him around. Alec Bohm is completely lost at the plate. I mean, he started out hitting cleanup behind, the big 3 and Turner, Schwarber, Harper. They had to move him down to the 8 hole. So right now, they don't have a cleanup hitter on that team. That's a problem. I wonder how good that offense is going to be. I like Justin Crawford. I think he's a nice guy in that 9 spot. But I just don't know if that lineup right now is deep enough, because when you play the Dodgers, we saw it in the postseason. Toronto had a very deep lineup. They could hang with them. You need a deep lineup, not just, scoring from the top. I'm a little bit concerned about Philadelphia's offense and how it's going to get better over the course of the season.
Yeah, and on that point too, you mentioned Philly, and they going into the offseason last year, there was like this big conversation about them having like big changes just so they can go in with a new feel this season here. Are you surprised they didn't move a guy like Alec Bohm, or are you not surprised?
I guess I'm not surprised because I'm not sure what his value was. I'm sure they looked around, they have this Aiden Miller kid coming, but now he's got a back problem. I mean, he's probably maybe months away from joining this team. So in a perfect world, you think, Alec Bohm at his best should be a run producer. He uses the whole field. He's had years where he has driven in a lot of runs. They don't need him to hit 40 home runs. They need him to drive in runs and clean up everybody who's on base in front of him. So, yeah, they definitely explored it. I'm not sure the best option is at this point. Obviously, they got in on Bichette and didn't get Bichette. That would have been a great fit for them. Then you would have seen him traded. But yeah, I'd have a problem with them running this team back for the most part. It's a team that knows who they are. It's a really good team. I didn't think it was time to break it up. But yeah, the Bohm problem right now is something that they need to solve pretty darn quickly because right now you're just getting no offense from him.
No, for sure. And on a more positive note, is there a team or even a player who's like surprised you this season and like kind of exceeded your expectations so far? I know it's early, but still.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Braves have gotten off to this good start with all the injuries they've had. I had a game earlier where Bryce Elder pitched, and man, he looks good. He's so underappreciated. He just keeps taking the ball, and for a team that has so many injuries, he's so valuable in that regard. They're off to a good start. It's funny. Every year I try to pick the two teams that had losing records the year before going to the postseason the next year. And my top two teams this year were Atlanta and Pittsburgh. And people are like, Pittsburgh? How can you take Pittsburgh? Well, I saw Connor Griffin in spring training. The dude hasn't even hit yet, but I'm telling you, he's going to hit. And I just watched that team like throwing bullpens and the amount of just pure stuff they have. I'm going to hedge my bet a little bit and say I'm not 100% confident they're a playoff team, but I'm not surprised that they've started this well. It's a good mix of guys with some of the veterans they added. I think they're going to be a surprise team. Playoff team or not, I don't know, but I think you could be looking up in August and the Pirates are still there as a contender.
You have come to the right podcast because we both had the Pirates in our playoff field. I think I picked on Kelly Manager of the year because I was trying to go against the grain a little bit. But you're watching, this Connor Griffin and the long-term Connor Griffin supplement to supplement the hot start to the season. Do you think that turns the tide on the franchise the way it's viewed a little bit? And what do you think this all means for Paul Skeens?
Yeah, I think it does because I go back to even when they drafted Connor Griffin because a lot of teams didn't think they were going to sign him, that he was going to go to LSU. The family had a number out there. It was definitely above slot. And we've seen the Pirates, try to do kind of conservative way of like a Henry Davis and save some money to get somebody later on in the draft. In this case, they signed a guy above slot, which they knew it was going to take, where other teams did not. I mean, not a lot of teams. I think he went to at the 9 spot. But I give them credit. That was a different piece of MO for the Pirates to step up and do that. And now with his contract as well, it could be franchise changing. I mean, that's a big word. I get it. But, I'm not sure about Skeens. That's a whole different animal in terms of where it goes contract wise, because I do think he's the best pitcher in baseball. It's no slight to Tarek Skubal. And what he's doing is sustainable. He takes such good care of himself. His mechanics are so good. He's so smart. So that's going to be a tough one to extend. But in the short term, at least, it's not too different from when Washington had Harper and Strasburg back to back. And, it was the makings. I know Harper wasn't there for the championship, but the makings of a championship team. In terms of turning a corner, yeah, I think those are two franchise players who can have that franchise turn a corner. It's going to be hard for them to be like Dodgers good year after year after year, but this window is just starting to open for the Pirates.
Yeah. Now, while we're here, I do have to ask about the two New York teams in semi-stasis mode. The fans are a little bit less excited than those in Pittsburgh. We're chatting during dueling 5-game losing streaks for the Yankees and Mets. I don't think those will last and extend to 147-game losing streaks, but you never know. Either way, Your thoughts early on what we're seeing from the Yankees, Mets, and sort of these strange lapses from Francisco Lindor. How concerned are you about one or both of these teams?
Not too concerned about the Yankees for two reasons. Their pitching's been really good. And Aaron Judge hasn't hit yet. You're not ever worried about Aaron Judge. The Mets I'd be more worried about. Like I said, they're trying to find out who they are. As much emphasis they put on run prevention, I don't see it being that much better. I don't know if Carson Bench is going to hit. There's a lot of movement in his swing. He may need to go back down to AAA, which is not a terrible thing. I mean, he's going to be a good ball player, but probably a big ask right away for him to be good out of the chute here. And defensively, I'm not a big Alvarez fan as a catcher in terms of running a game and framing. That's part of a run prevention game. So questions about the Mets for sure. It's a strange mix in terms of putting these pieces together. I know the shortstops playing different positions with Polanco, Simeon, and Bichette. I'm not sure how much Simeon's going to hit, but I like him defensively. Again, I just don't know if this team is going to be good enough all around to come back. I still think they're a playoff contending team. Don't get me wrong. But if you're talking about a 95-plus win team, which I think where the Phillies are at, I don't see the Mets right now at that kind of level. They're going to have to tinker with this team as we go along.
Yeah, and shifting the conversation a little bit, is there any team that you look at right now, and you could even choose the Pirates for this one, that you see maybe it's not this year, or maybe it could be next year, but like they're a team that's definitely on the rise that we should keep an eye on?
Well, I like the young players, position players for the Nationals. And I like Blake Butera, the job he's done, and just watching them play. I mean, it's like watching kind of like the Brewers, like a college team, the way they just seem to be all over the field and a lot of enthusiasm. James Wood can be even better a hitter than he is if he just puts a few more balls in play. He's already an impact hitter. So I could see something building there. Yeah, I wouldn't say they're probably not even a 500 team this year, but the base of talent that they have, I think that the direction that they're going bodes really well. So I'd probably go with the Washington Nationals.
And is there a team out there on the flip side that you watch and think this window may already be closed?
To me, there's two teams early to say that they're in trouble. One is the San Francisco Giants. I didn't think it was a good offensive team, and man, they have not hit it all. 8 home runs in their first 16 games. There's just not enough slug. It's just not a good enough lineup. I like their pitching. It's pretty good, but it's not enough to survive this offense in that ballpark, especially tough division. I'd be concerned about, how much that team is ever going to hit. And the Houston Astros, they've had some bad luck with injuries. The Hunter Brown injury was just really, really a killer for them. We'll see how long he's out for. We've counted them out before, right? The Astros seem to find a way to get back into things. But right now, with the injuries to their staff, I think they're in a very difficult position. I'm not ready to say their window's over with here, but it's going to be an uphill season for them for a while until they get fully healthy.
One final question, too, and we really appreciate you joining us. I've got my eye on MLB expansion a little bit, especially given what's going on in the NBA. In your opinion, in what city is the next new ballpark built? Is it a refresh of a ballpark in a city that currently has baseball, somebody like the Rays, or is it a city that wants Major League Baseball?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, it looks like the Rays are going to Tampa, so that may be the next one actually where there's construction going on. I was a big fan of Montreal back in the day. There doesn't seem to be enough momentum there, politically, economically, to pull it together. I think it's a great demographic. It's a great city. They never really had a chance with that Big O ballpark that they had back then. If you gave them a retractable roof ballpark downtown, I think it would be a really, I'm going to say top 5, but an upper half franchise in terms of revenues and demographics and all that. It's a great market. Other than that, I hear a lot of buzz about Salt Lake City and the way that city is coming on. And they do seem to have everything, or at least most things, in order, which it takes a lot of money, a lot of political capital. I think they've got a lot of those things. I've always liked Nashville. I think they're probably a little bit behind Salt Lake in terms of just being organized with the money. But that's an up and coming city. I think would be a great place to have a franchise as well.
Really appreciate that answer, the candidness and the thorough dissection of the Dodgers. Tom Verducci, thank you so much for joining us. If anybody is not a Dodgers believer, we hope you watch back and watch the show and realize that there is a lot more to it than the financial dominance. You can catch us. Robert and I will be back here on the Baseball Insiders on a Wednesday afternoon, also a Friday show, plus tomorrow for the Prospect Show featuring Eric Cole, our fan-sided prospect guru. Join the Discord, please, if you have not. Join at the All-Star tier. You get that private Q&A with Robert on Thursdays, and subscribe to the Baseball Insiders newsletter. That QR code should appear above my head, and it did. It's a magic QR code. It's awesome to see it there. There it is. So just scan that. You'll be able to get that inboxed twice per week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, the best of the Baseball Insiders and fan-sided MLB staff writers. Robert, we'll be back here on Wednesday, presumably still on Lucas Giolito watch.
That's unbelievable. I can't believe. How is he not signed yet? I still have zero idea how that's even possible. It's crazy.